All right. Hello everyone.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm not sure if I can hear you because it felt like you kept going in and out, Stephen.
Oh,
Um,
really? Okay. How is the sound for everyone?
Everyone's clear on my side.
yeah, it's
All
okay.
right. All right, that sounds good. Okay,
Yeah.
so welcome everyone to our Sci-Fi on Ice. Iced means we have a drink with us. Tonight I have monkey shoulder, so I'm very sophisticated. How are you guys sorted tonight?
I am dipping my
Um,
toe in the
I'm fine,
Irish
thanks.
pond.
I have monkey juice. Okay. All right, on ice. It's a bit warm tonight, right? Just like last night. All right, so today we are going to talk about a science fiction short story book called Nobody Lives on Burton Street by Gregory Benford. And where is he from?
Old Gregory?
Australia?
He's not. He's not from Australia. He's from the US of A. And
I suppose like with a name like Benford, you should have guessed.
I don't know. English kind of. So you can go for any English speaking country with an English book. So, uh, right, yeah, so the story, yeah, nobody lives on Benford Street. So what's the story about? It's about sort of an autocratic society where they've got a system in place where people can vent out their frustration in an organized protest with a, I guess, sort of like a movie set of a street where people come in and they can do their violent protest to, I guess, release their frustration. And so the story starts with these two guys. What's the protagonist name?
We've got Joe,
Joe.
also quintessentially American name, Joe Murphy.
Oh, that's his colleague. Who's the first person? Who's the guy?
Oh, now you're asking.
He
I don't remember.
he just kind of refers to himself in the
Does he
eye.
have an actual name?
My,
Yeah, he just. I don't think he uses his name.
I guess like I guess in the relationship, he's the superior to Joe Murphy, who's the guy who's married, and the beginning of the story has the conversation, uh, and they talk about their, I guess, their lives being kind of just regular guys, but here they are at the sort of the end of power in this, I guess, relationship and society, and so anyway, so the story, yep, they start by talking about, complaining about mundane things. Joe Murphy, is married. His wife's complaining about their life. And then the protagonist, the superior, says, "Oh, well, our life's all right, better than these unemployeds with a capital U." And so the action starts where the unemployeds come in and start to do carnage in the street, and a few things happen with the fire hose and some Molotov cocktails burning down shops, and then when the crowd is satisfied, they mosey on out. And then our protagonist guy has a little monologue at the end. Just he has a little exchange with Joe Murphy again, and but he sort of has that feeling that he wants to put him through like one of those psych procedures, and he has that line, to be like sad to see him go, kind of thing. And
Yep, like he knows something's coming. Something's
yeah,
coming.
and so and then that's you sort of left hanging on that, and but I should add in the mailbox. It starts with the mailbox. He doesn't know why the mailbox is in this fabricated street, and at the end he's like, "Oh, I don't know why it's there," and maybe we'll talk about that a bit later. But That was there were the bookends, the beginning and the end of the story. So that's, I guess, the plot. Bit bit of a lengthy description for a short, very 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 short story. So yeah, what are your takes? Did you like it?
Hmm.
Silence, deep thought. Time to have a drink. What
Yeah,
do you
I
guys
mean,
think?
it was all right. It was short, easy to follow. I think the there were some clear themes running through. Um, because yeah, obviously it's meant to control these unemployed and the race, different races, or these different people with these gripes to express, rather than um, actually trying to fix anything. Because they talk about the invasion of privacy because the psychers are offered by the state rather than going to see a counselor or like a psychiatrist. So, which kind of begs the question how thorough they are. Um, because if they have to be approved in order to come and cause rampage, what happens to the people who aren't approved, and where do they go? Because if it's controlled by the state and the state is trying to control them, it begs the question of the people who are excluded and where they go.
That's
Um,
right. Yeah, there's sort of their theme about protest. Sort of uh, if the government thinks, I guess you might describe the government as autocratic, sort of just worried about staying in power, and so they're trying to have this release valve of their frustrations. And we've obviously the whole world has seen like a whole year or two of protests, right? And nothing good has come from any of it. So it's interesting that in this story, it's sort of protest is seen as a good thing. It's like, okay, well, you do the protest, and then we let.
I wouldn't say there's nothing good has come from it. There's definitely been more dialogue, and that's where it has to start. Like, there needs to be an awareness, and there needs to be an awareness on a global scale because so many issues now are global. And, with these huge corporations controlling everything, it can feel overwhelming as an individual. But to know that globally we're going through the same things, I think a lot of ground has shifted now.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think there's like a global awareness, even if you look locally and you might feel not demotivated, but yeah, you might feel a bit frustrated that nothing's come. But I think yeah, that's a good point.
Because if you think about like the lesser developed, as they say, um, America, UK, I should say the US, the UK, have always been as beacons of hope. And, if you work hard, you'll make your millions. And I think globally now, those images are being undermined because everyone can see what a shit job they're doing with the pandemic and, equality between their citizens. And I think in that respect, it's also leveling the playing field because people are maybe realizing it's not so great. Oh, on the other side.
Yeah, Dean, you got some thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't think anybody's side is greener anymore. I mean, you always look to the other side and go, oh, things will be better there, and then you get there and you go, oh, it's kind of shite.
Yeah.
Um, but for them to, I mean, this was written in the 70s,
Mm.
and for this idea to be sci-fi, to be so outlandish that it's something in the future. Um, yeah, that you just get handled. You just these people are just like, oh, okay, yeah, no, the computer decided that you guys can protest because, well, you're not doing anything else and you're just going to be annoying. So yeah, go down the street, burn everything, get it out your system, and then go have some beers and
Well,
we'll remedy that. We'll just put another band-aid on this in another 2 months'
right.
time.
Right. Yeah. Well, the story makes reference to unions, and I think in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, unions had much bigger power than or more influence than they do today. Um, I think that's you're probably looking at NGOs and other sort of spheres of influence with the disenfranchised uh, representation. But but yeah, I think there's something timeless through that where you know.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, like we're living the sci-fi of that era. You
Mm,
know, you've got maybe not the computer, but you've definitely got algorithms dictating what we see, what we read, what we hear,
mm,
constantly learning from our digital presence.
yeah,
That Yeah, I mean, we are living the 1970s sci-fi kind of world.
right on. Okay, I want to ask the question. What did you guys think of the mailbox, or what does it mean? Or can you draw any connections with it?
I think the mailbox is reality. Like that's that. Like I mean, I know we've mentioned it a few times that in the up and coming days before today, this mailbox and how it's just so
So true.
permanent, but yet it's ignored. I mean, the only thing that pops into my mind when I think of that bloody mailbox is just reality. It's so out of place there that
But it's not necessarily out of place if it was trying to replicate a real street that these individuals may be living on that aren't destroying. And maybe they just don't want to keep replacing it, so they make it out of cast iron. Like I feel like Steve, you're really fixated on this because it's mentioned in the book, but it doesn't stick out that much to me.
Yeah, I guess the author, I guess I feel like he's trying to tell me something, and I totally agree. Yeah, a mailbox is just a regular fixture in the street. Uh, what was he? But he seemed disturbed that it was there in this fake environment. He's like, yeah, this is just a street to destroy, but why have we got a mailbox in there? Because I guess it has no function. Well, so does, I guess it's all, I don't know. I don't know
None
much
of
about.
it does except for their anger. And I think I agree with Dean. Like it's just meant to be like reality. It's meant to the look the part.
Right. There we go. I guess, uh, I guess it just maybe
Oh,
something. Yeah.
I just wonder, are they every day, these rampages? I kind of got the impression that they're every day.
There's a line. There might be every day. But there's all I know about the frequency is that they are organized. There's like you find out later that people sign up to. Yeah, so they do the psychic evaluations and then they get either accepted onto the list to partake in the activity. But
yeah. Well, I mean, it does seem like you've got to be disgruntled enough to kind of tick all the boxes and then go, oh, okay, well, you can have Tuesday from 2
yeah.
till 4.
But wait, it's 9 o'clock in the morning in this process.
Yeah,
Is
Yeah.
that's so great? Have you ever seen a process at 9 o'clock in the morning? Just I don't know.
Yeah.
yeah,
Typo.
Okay,
yeah.
It was
Africa,
at
baby.
dawn.
all
It was
hours.
at dawn in our neighborhood.
I was just thinking of activists that are sort of they're usually in bed at 9 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, yeah, if there is real tension, that is that probably doesn't matter what time of the day it is. So yeah.
Well, in the book, they also said like they'll leave it for the afternoon crew.
Mm,
So I got the impression as well that it might even be like shift work rather than like policing. They're doing like the morning and the afternoon session, um, and that's their job to kind of
mm.
oversee this rampage.
Is
So
that
then I
yeah?
got the impression maybe it's daily.
Yeah, I would say so, and you see them move off to a different area at the end of it, and then yeah, they say that the street gets rebuilt for the afternoon session, as you say, and so yeah, okay. Were there any
Yeah,
other?
'cause
Yep.
the old the fleshies, I mean, the humans in this,
Mm,
well, if
yeah.
in terms of the organizational thing, they're just there to push buttons and operate some control pads and interpret some data. I mean, they're not there in any real capacity.
Yeah,
All the Joe Murphy and
our
the
guy.
other guy, and what's there was a number three guy, Scott.
Scott. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're just there really to observe, push some buttons, make sure the machines run on time, and
Yeah, and even then they're flawed because they went and sprayed water into the one shop that wasn't destroyed. So it's not like they're there for troubleshooting.
yeah, they're just tech support.
Yeah, they're like press green for go.
Yeah, it was
Okay,
almost.
my job is done.
Yeah, they were almost surprised about the reaction. They weren't expecting that reaction from the crowd when they put the water in the wrong
Yeah,
one.
Yeah, well, it's a comical effect, isn't it? They're all angry and frustrated, and then it's like this little skit being performed for them. It will break the tension.
Okay, what do you guys think about the use of androids for what do they call them? And cops for the police and then also the firemen because they get attacked by the people and like brutally axed by some folks. And and then one kid once he kills an ant cop, he takes off the name tag, as and he says souvenir, and they all cheer about it. What purpose do you think that serves in the story?
I think I think it's what's it altruistic, not altruistic. When they're because I imagine that in the past maybe there were real people and the violence kept escalating, and
Mm,
so they made it possible for these people to murder without actually murdering.
mm,
So they put the robots in place so that the crowds can still get their rage out, but their employees aren't harmed. Vicarious, that's the word. Vicariously. So they're, killing the pigs and sticking it to the man without actually harming anyone and causing serious, damage. Because
yep.
destroying a building is not the same as destroying a life. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
I mean, that's not really. Yeah, I mean, obviously for us thinking of life carries value, but in so many times when you look at protests and the violence that comes with it, there's no one's valuing life there on any side.
no,
And
I
then
think you
they're
can see
taking a
people.
souvenir. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, well, I've done this before. Let me get my free T-shirt and mug, grab a souvenir.
No, I think that it's been removed, that's all. Because in
Yeah,
real life, people do stop when they're faced with like a human life. We've seen protests the past year and a half. We've never seen anyone axe someone in the back or chop off their limbs. Like, but these people are allowed to do that because of the situation that's been made for them. They've been allowed to, chop up a robot. Who's to say that if there were real people, they wouldn't be retaliating, right? Because these robots just accept it. They don't react. The hose pipe gets cut in half. They keep going. There's no give and take. Whereas if it was a human and somebody came at them with an axe, they'd maybe pull out a gun. So I think it's about the situation that they've engineered for this, for them to murder and get that anger out vicariously through the
mm.
robots.
There's one thing that was on my mind that because especially from the protests that we're seeing around the world is that there was you notice in protests that people would change tactics if something's not working. And so you wonder why they're at this state of this, well, we'll do the same thing, and we come to this place and then we release the same amount of energy for destruction to satisfy our frustration. It's because so it seems a very contrived frustration if that's it. Because if there is something, I don't know, in the human condition, you might think that there would be something a bit more impassioned for a cause, and maybe it's a very short story, so it might be that might be asking too much of the story to sort of wonder why this was not
But
something.
it goes back to the psych evals, because it's those people that are frustrated and angry can get it out in that short term. This is what they need, right? They say that.
Yep.
They give them what they need to get rid of it. Those people who are maybe angry for a cause, maybe those people don't get to go to these things. Maybe they're sent somewhere else
Yep.
because they have to be approved, like you guys were saying.
Yeah, I think that probably is the case, and we don't know. It probably, yeah, we can probably infer that and leave that. All right, so should we wrap this up with our final thoughts and a score of 500? Unless there's anything else you want to add in before we conclude this very, very, very short story.
Yeah, I think
No,
they go a long way in a very short amount of time.
Okay.
like physically.
No, because it's just down the street. But yeah, they've definitely packed in a lot of action in, what is it, 6 pages, 7 pages.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I think it's very contradictory as a story because in that it opens up a lot of questions. So it's no, it's good. Um, I liked it. I think more than the other one.
Mm.
Mm,
Yeah, I'd give it a
412.
oh, I was gonna go with 400.
All right. So thank you very much for your thoughts. I think
What's yours?
well, I'm gonna say it soon. I felt that the story, I think it said what it wanted to say in a short period of time. Obviously, I can't critique, what it didn't say. All right, I'm gonna go with 368. I'm gonna go. I like it, but I felt, yeah, I felt like, like you said about the contradictions. I felt that it didn't really sort of drive home as sort of a something to take away. I think it said what it wanted to say, but I think it doesn't work. But because of those contradictions, and I guess that leave me wanting more. But then I can't critique that because that would require a longer story, and so maybe I'm just saying this story shouldn't be in the very, very short story genre. Poof.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
All right, so that concludes our, I want to say our first one. It's our second one, but we haven't uploaded the first one. So for for anyone that we share this with, this would be our first group story, and I'll put it at the end of this. I'll put in a plug that if anybody else is interested in talking about short stories, then get in touch with us, and we'll let you know the next book we're reading. And see you guys next week for. Oh, Dean, what story are we reading next week or talking about?
next week is a sci-fi classic, Isaac Asimov.
Where's he
Moth.
from?
Um, oh.
Australia.
I think he's probably a U.S. immigrant.
Yeah, yeah, he's American with a Russian name.
Yeah, one of those defectors.
Yeah, with the
But yeah, a very classic sci-fi writer,
mm.
and we're going to look at a longer, shorter story
What's the
called
story called?
Water Clap.
Excellent. All right, I'm gonna end the video here and bye.